I'd been hunting in the Selkirk Mountains all day, and by dusk, still hadn't seen so much as a deer track. The silence of the forest was unnatural. No birds, no insects. Even the wind seemed to have left. The only sound was the creak of my pack straps and my boots grinding against the gravel trail. The sun was sinking behind the ridgeline, pulling the shadows long and cold across the timber. I cut through a narrow game path that wound between cedar and pine. The air smelled sharp with sap and wet earth, but beneath it came something else. Wet dog, musky, acrid, heavy in my throat. At first I thought maybe a coyote had passed through. Then came the sound, a branch snapping behind me, and another. Each time I stepped, something in the trees stepped with me. I froze. Horst froze too. My ears rang in the silence. Then came a new sound. Breathing. Low, steady, heavy. Like air being dragged through a chest too big to be human. I swung my rifle around, scanning the tree line, but the woods were too thick. Shadows stacked on shadows. Wherever it was, I knew I had to stay just out of sight. I tried to move faster. Steps moved faster too. Twig cracked, a rock tumbled. Always just behind me, and never close enough to see. And then, through the trees, I caught a flicker. Something tall, slipping between trunks, keeping pace. By the time I stumbled back into a clearing near camp, my nerves were raw. My hands shook as I fumbled for the flashlight clipped in my vest. The beam cut through the dark, and that's when I saw him. Two eyes, amber gold, glowing like coals. Too far apart, too high off the ground. Stepped forward. Broad shoulders, matted fur, long snout full of teeth glistening with saliva. It walked upright, but not like a man. It loped. Each step coiled with muscle, ready to spring. It didn't snarl, didn't roar. It grinned. Fired my rifle, shot cracked the valley like thunder. Muzzle flash lit up the trees, and then the thing was gone. Silence swallowed everything, just the stink of gunpowder mingling with that musky animal stench. Thought maybe I'd scared it off. Could I look down. Right there in the mud beside my boot was a print. Not a paw, not a beat. Something in between. Long, clawed toes spread wide, pressed deep like whatever left it weighed twice what I did. My light traced the trail, each print sinking away into the trees. My chest loosened, till I noticed something else. Something that made my blood run cold. Another set, closing in from the other side.
What exactly is the Dogman? Witnesses describe a towering wolf-like creature that walks on two legs like a man. Most say it stands 6 to 9 feet tall, with the shoulders and chest of a bodybuilder, fur ranging from jet black to gray, and a head like a nightmare. A wolf's muzzle lined with teeth, framed by tall ears. Its eyes are said to glow in the dark, usually amber or red. Unlike Bigfoot, which is usually shy, Dogman encounters carry a note of menace. It doesn't just appear and vanish, it stalks, follows, it hunts. But this idea of a wolf that wears the shape of a man isn't new. It runs deep through folklore. Among Algonquin peoples, there are stories of wolf-headed warriors who walked upright, dangerous, unpredictable, and cruel. But Lakota and other plains tribes spoke of the Shunka-Werikin, a predator larger than any wolf. Its name translates to carries off dogs. In the late 19th century, settlers in Montana displayed the taxidermy of a strange wolfish beast called ringdokus, that some believe was one of these creatures. Here, in the Pacific Northwest, legends warned of stick Indians, shadowy forest dwellers blamed for abductions and madness. Some stories describe them moving with wolf-like stealth, others whistling or laughing to lure travelers into the trees. And across native traditions, wolves were often boundary crossers, creatures that moved between the human world and the wild. Across the ocean, Europe gave us werewolves, men cursed to transform under the full moon. Those legends were morality tales, bound to cycles and sin. But Dogman is different. No transformations, no lunar ties. Not a man who became a beast that was never human to begin with. That's what makes it terrifying. The werewolf is a tragedy. The Dogman is a predator. The modern legend begins in 1887 in Wexford County, Michigan, when two lumberjacks swore they saw a man's body with a dog's head watching them from the tree line. For decades, it was little more than local lore. Then in 1987, radio DJ Steve Cook aired a novelty song about Dogman for April Fool's Day. The joke backfired. His phone lines lit up with listeners insisting that the creature was real. By the time Cook retired, he had cataloged over 100 separate reports. Meanwhile, in Wisconsin, a country lane outside Elkhorn became infamous as the haunt of the Beast of Bray Road. The earliest dated sighting goes back to 1936, but it was the late 1980s and 1990s when encounters surged. Drivers reported hulking wolfmen chasing cars or tearing at roadkill with their hands. Farmers found livestock mutilated. One woman said it followed her all the way to her door. Others showed police cars raked with claw marks. Journalist Linda Godfrey investigated, expecting a hoax. She instead found terrified witnesses with nothing to gain. Her reporting, and later her book, The Beast of Bray Road, made the story national. And the reports kept spreading. Truckers in Michigan's Upper Peninsula told of wolf-headed figures piecing their rigs at highway speeds. Hunters in Kentucky spoke of being circled by something massive just out of sight. Campers in Texas described glowing eyes outside their tents, with heavy bipedal steps pacing until dawn. Even in the Pacific Northwest, stories surfaced. In Twin Falls, Idaho, a pastor named Chewy swore he first thought he was seeing a cougar until it stood up on two legs. In Idaho Falls during the 1980s, teenagers near a cemetery reported a massive wolf-headed figure with glowing orange eyes. And in the Boise foothills, locals online described strange canid shapes moving through the sage, vanishing before anyone could get close. The details shift from place to place, but the core image remains the same: a predator with the shape of a man and the hunger of a wolf. So what evidence do we really have? There are tracks, oversized, canine-like impressions, often with splayed toes. Too big for wolves, too strange for dogs. Some preserved in plaster, though skeptics dismiss them as fakes. There are scars, barns and vehicles gouged with claw marks, metal peeled, paint shredded. There are photos and film. The infamous Gable film seemed to show a dog-headed creature charging the cameraman, till its creator admitted the hoax. Still, blurry photos and shaky videos continued to circulate. And there are the sounds, howls and screams that hunters swear don't match wolves or coyotes. Deeper, resonant, primal. How do we explain it? Some call Dogman a cryptid, a flesh and blood predator science hasn't documented. Critics argue such a creature couldn't exist unnoticed. Others call it supernatural, a shapeshifter, a spirit that slips between the human world and something darker. Skeptics say it's misidentification, a bear on hind legs, seen at the wrong angle. But seasoned outdoorsmen often insist they know better. And finally, some say it's hoax and hysteria. A modern legend fed by radio shows, the internet, and fear. But if it's only a story, why do the sightings keep coming? Look at the Dogman stories side by side, and the details shift. Red eyes or amber, tall or impossibly tall, seen on a back road or the edge of a campsite. But the feeling never changes. Witnesses describe being watched, followed, studied the way a predator studies prey. Skeptics call it myth, mistake, or lie. Believers call it a predator we haven't yet named. But maybe the truth isn't in bones or photographs. Maybe it's in the fear itself, the memory of heavy footsteps in the dark.